A very warm welcome to all our listeners. And if nobody is listening, at least Jerry Hunwick is here. He must be listening. Hi.
I'm listening to you, Anand.
So what music is that?
Afternoon.
Tell us about the music.
That is Fanfare Chicalia. It's a track called Caravan.
It's very grand, you know. I know it's not pure classical, but...
No, it's what they call Balkan gypsy music.
But it has that grandeur in it. Doom, doom,
it does.
Doom, doom.
It does. Lovely. It's got all those
and it's very brassy.
Brass, yeah.
Yes, it's
all brass.
Which is very bright.
Yes,
very
bright.
As shiny as brass itself.
And makes you want to dance and enjoy the
sunshine. But dance not in a wild way, but in a kind of majestic, enjoying.
Exactly.
Like family way.
Yes.
What does the Spanish gypsy dance sound like?
That's flamenco. That's another great love of mine. I absolutely love my flamenco.
Is there music you don't like? Because you seem to come up with a very, very Catholic taste. You're not a Catholic, are you?
I'm not a Catholic. No,
I'm joking. This is Catholic with a small C.
Do you know?
Is there any music you don't like?
Is there any music I don't like?
Because you're quite Catholic. I mean,
do you know what I don't like? And it gets a bit on my nerves. Is what's called gangster hip hop.
I don't even know what that is. I barely know what hip-hop is.
I don't mind hip-hop.
What about hard rock and about killing people and talking about the gods? Anthrax.
I don't like death metal, no. I'm not a fan.
Do you like Anthrax?
Not overly, no.
But do you know, and I quote, in 1997, an American boy aged 17, David Merrell, Merrell, did this experiment in Newson School in America. He had finished school. He got a grant from the government for $1,000 in his father's massive garage, as Americans have. He had 3 fish tank aquaria with 24 mice in each one of them. 24.
Yeah.
After a week, and every day they would be taken out, fed, and put in a maze made of nail, about 6 foot long, 2 feet wide. Within a week, they all settled down and they were doing the maze in 10 minutes. That was average time for tank A, B, C.
Yeah.
Tank A was left in silence. They were just fed, cleaned, and mazed, and that's it. The tank that had Mozart music through headphones in the tank, in the dry tank, they cut down the maze in 3 weeks from 10 minutes to 5 minutes. So if you are a mouse, within 3 weeks, you become twice as intelligent in solving an old problem. The mice who heard heavy metal Anthrax, the third C, they did not decrease from 10 to 5, or 10 to 1.5. 10 to 5 was the silent one. 10 to 1.5 was the other one, the one with the Mozart. They increased their time from 10 minutes to 30 minutes. So you become 3 times as stupid, and they started killing each other, and the experiment had to be stopped. Now, I'm sure humans have a greater propensity to tolerate nonsense and disturbance. But it does say something, because all our drugs are tested on mice. Every drug you take is tested largely on mice. So, and if you test music. So I'm not saying that kind of music, but it's not a calming kind of music. If you're on the motorway and listen to heavy metal, I guess your chance of an accident is slightly higher than if you listen to ta-ra-ra-ra-ra, pom-pom.
Maybe.
So, as I say, humans are more discriminating.
Yeah. I must say, when I was younger, I did like more aggressive music, but as I've...
That just reflected your nature.
Yeah.
It's like a man with a Rottweiler. The Rottweiler is just an expression of the man's inner nature. Why do people keep Rottweilers, snakes, and all these unusual things?
Don't ask me.
Also, one thing I'll tell you from social services point of view, if you have children and they're at risk of being taken away, one point that scores quite heavily is if you have 2 pets who are enemies of each other. Like if you have in the same house you have a cat and a mouse, the social services know there's something wrong in your family. So get rid of your mouse. Not the computer mouse. Okay, so what else have you brought today?
Right, well, we've got quite a lot coming up today. We've got some music in a minute. There's a fascinating experiment being done at one of our local schools.
What, with mice and Mozart?
Not what it's to do with.
Okay.
It's to do with classical music.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep on theme with you here.
Keep talking about it. I'll go and get my laptop, because I see your laptop. I think I've got my laptop here. I'll go and bring my own one.
Right.
Because that's on my laptop.
Do you want some music in the meantime?
No, keep talking. Talk about what it is.
Yeah. There's a school in Elsick. And they've been doing this experiment whereby all the new students, when they're in year 1, they go in and they're given musical instruments. And this is Hawthorne Primary School in Elsick. It's just off Elsick Road there. And they've created something called the Geordie Symphony School, and it focuses on on the young students and tries to see how music can transform their lives.
And you asked me to download this piece from the BBC, and I have.
Okay.
So would you like me to run it?
The reason why we're mentioning it today is on, and we don't usually plug other radio stations or TV stations, but we're actually we're gonna plug BBC One Northeast tonight.
But plugging means praising it.
It does. Well, we'll give it a plug because it's local people. There's a half-an-hour documentary this evening on BBC One Northeast.
Sorry, Northeast and half an hour. It's worth our trouble.
And it's at 7:30 this evening, and it's about the Geordie Symphony School, and the programme just focuses on students.
Next show we'll run quite more bits of it, but we have a preview here.
Yep. There's a preview here coming up for the show, for that
When
show.
I grow up, I'll
be in a band and earn lots of money.
perform to thousands of people, which I really dreamed of.
The West End of Newcastle is becoming a production line of classical musicians.
If you know something about the area and the school and where these children have come from, then it is extraordinary. It's giving children the tools to actually have something for the whole of the rest of their lives.
It's one of the most ambitious social projects the country has ever seen. To try and change the course of young lives using classical music.
You ready?
It will improve their educational attainment. It will improve their resilience. It will improve their health.
Silence, please.
Wishy-washy? Arty-farty? Or can this turn around the fortunes of a whole community?
Can you imagine going to the Albert Hall and your grandson's there and he's playing with a great big orchestra? How fantastic would that be? And where's he from? The West End of Newcastle. Big dreams.
That's excellent. But if I tell you I'm not impressed, how would you react? I have done.
I would be very saddened.
No, you don't need to be saddened.
Because I think.
No. If someone says, and they're from the West End, what's wrong with the West End?
There's a lot of deprivation here.
But music comes from the soul. It's not from physical deprivation.
Yes, I totally get what you're saying. But actually, usually from deprived areas, young people can't afford instruments. And this is really groundbreaking.
They can afford voices.
They can afford voices.
And just listen to me for a moment. I've run 550 workshops in the region. Dr. Anand, along with Anthea when she was there, have run 550 workshops in almost every single school through Gurukul, the Indian classical music organizations. Because children don't know the difference between English music and Indian music and Pakistani music. To them, music is music. Because we adults then start dividing. And I think the biggest instrument is the voice, and costs absolutely nothing. I don't see children born with instruments. They're all born with voices.
This is true.
But the English are very shy about the voices, unlike the Welsh or the Indians or the Pakistanis. So that is why we hide behind instruments. Let me tell you one experience. I went with my guru and Anthea and the guru's wife to a school in Gateshead in Lowfell. And we started playing. And by playing, I mean we sing and they sing back. Like I'll do it now with you. Just repeat after me. Sa.
Sa,
re, ga, ma, pa, dha, ni, sa. So it's do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, sa, ni, da, pa, ma, ga, re, sa. It's exactly the same. So what I'm actually teaching the children subliminally, that in music there's only 7. You call it an octave, but it's 7 notes actually. The 8th one is the same as the first one. It's a double frequency of that. Okay. So all music all over the world has 7 notes. And I come from a music culture that is thousands of years old, long before Western music even was born. In that they have a harmonic tuning, but that is detail. Any musical instrument will play any music of any country. India has a bit difficulty because the notes are even finer tuned to... have you seen the sitar?
Yes.
The frets are not equiproportionate like on your guitar. And that is because they are the actual notes, harmonic scale. But that's just a detail. Okay, then I teach them beating. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So you clap on every 4th beat, right? So do it with me, but don't clap on the 13th note. Ready? Don't clap on the 9th, I mean. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Don't clap on 9, please. 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Don't clap on 9, please. 13, 14, 15. And this way we have fun. And you laugh despite being an adult. But children giggle and laugh and they tease and the joke. And that day when I went with John, I forgot his surname. He was the music head of... I know all the music heads as well. We have our own Steve here. I'll contact him and bring him in one day.
Okay.
Our Steve, who was the best advisor in the north from Newcastle. And one child just had tears in his eyes. And I went up to him and took him aside and said, what's the matter? He said, my parents are not with me. He had been put in social services. The teacher didn't know this. He had been like that for a month. The teacher didn't know this child had been put in care. He was just coming to school in a normal way. And within seconds, through music, we could make out.
Yeah.
We also went to, before these radio stations, we had these 4-week slots. And in that, we had a slot in a school, St. Anthony's in Walker.
Ah, yes, I know.
And there was a boy, he was so disabled, he was like Jesus on a cross. He had to be put on a frame to even stand. He had never uttered a sound in his life. But when my guru was singing on the loudspeaker, he went, and that's like a miracle. The guy who's never uttered a single sound. So what I'm saying is music is very powerful. And I think we should all sing and chant.
I don't disagree with you about the singing, but what I do think is even with singing, you can't get the same sounds as you can out of different musical instruments, because obviously some are, they have their own particular...
Musical instruments are a poor copy of the voice.
I don't even necessarily... I don't think you could get down to some of the deep notes. That
they are synthetic. They are not born. They're natural. The most natural thing is what you and I are using just now. And that, because it's so close to the brain, affects us much more. If you play a wind instrument, it's closer to our voice, like a flute, trumpet, those. If you play a string instrument, it's nothing like our voice. It's one step further removed. If you're playing drums, it is like the thumping a chest.
Sound,
yes. But a caveman sitting in the cave is as musical as the Western orchestra.
I'm not denying that. And they probably
so I'm just saying...
They probably made their own instruments as well.
Exactly. And children do.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Risaria, come on in. Because she's going to talk about something even more interesting than classical music from NE4 with poor deprived children. Put the headphones on. Didn't you or someone in your community house do some wonderful experiment on giving people instruments as long as they could not play it?
Yes.
And I repeat, listeners, they were given instruments as long as they were...
They weren't even always instruments.
So pots and pans?
So pots and pans,
cling film. Cheese grater.
Cling film.
How do you play cling film? Like a percussive thing? Put it over something.
They were just making a rustling sound with it.
Okay.
And I played cheese grater.
What?
What happened? I was grating vegetables in the kitchen, and one of my housemates was composing a song. And I realised I was doing it rhythmically to her. And different vegetables made different sounds.
Oh my God.
A potato was sounding different to a carrot.
It's absolutely... I have seen these vegetable orchestras. Whole orchestras playing vegetables.
No, but are you talking about orchestras where the vegetables is turned into an instrument?
Yeah.
Because I've seen those as well.
Yeah, but this wasn't. This was literally just grating it.
Right.
So according
just
to
the noise.
Yeah.
Yes.
So just the fibrosity.
Yeah.
Like cheese will not make a sound, I guess. It's too oily.
I didn't do the cheese. It was I did potato. Turnip's good. And we were doing a soundtrack to a silent film at the Star and Shadow. And turnip was good because the film was an hour long or longer.
So you needed turnip.
I needed something that would last. Stand the pace.
Because they were big.
Yes.
And strong.
Yes.
Which is your preferred vegetable for music? Sounds a stupid question.
Well, for durability, the turnip. And the potato I quite like. It's got quite a
crunchy.
Crunchy, but with the moisture in it.
Yes.
Does it depend on what variety of potato you use?
I haven't experimented that far yet.
What about apples? Apples and pears would be different.
I haven't gone on to fruit.
Because we chew these. Potato we don't eat raw. Otherwise, because mashed potato doesn't make a sound, I guess. Lop. But if you chew an apple, it has a different crunchiness to it.
Yes.
Have you heard about this getting crazier and crazier? Have you heard somebody made a happy birthday to you using dog barks at different rah, 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 and like that? I mean, anything is music. Because I lived with a guru in Newcastle, in Gosford. One day, I woke up and I went, oh, in the afternoon. He said, what rag is that? So I beg your pardon. I'm just yawning. He says, no, what are the notes? I played it on the sitar, and it was the C and the 6th fret, the devil's note they call it in Western music, the 6th fret between sa re ga ma and pa, sa re ga ma, that odd note, ni re ga re sa pa ma, that odd note, 6th fret.
Yes.
And he said because that is a dissonant note, you think of desolation and a rag. So in India, the music was for spirituality. And so the music is much more introspective.
Yes.
And it's not written. Because if you write, if you open your eyes, you can't go within.
Yeah.
So you would see the musicians playing blind because they have got the eyes closed.
And
it's not written.
Yeah, that's how my Norwegian friend works. The New
Kaya?
Equations music.
Kaya?
Kaya. She works with a group called New Equations Music.
While you talk, I'll get one of her CDs and put it on the background so Jerry can also hear it.
So you can hear it. And they do...
And you can take some of it away and bring it back next time. Because you're into quite a variety.
That's all right. I'll add to my music.
No, you love. You're a library of music. So
I have a library. Yeah. I'm a walking library of music.
Good.
Well, they create music in the now. They create it within the energy field, so that, and they're very specific where they go. They created some in Mount Shasta last year. In January, they were in Egypt, in Cairo, in the Tomb of the Kings.
Right.
Creating music that resonated with that. And you can't get it anywhere apart from their website because they create it in what they call a WAV format.
Oh yeah, I know.
So it retains the resonance and the vibration that interacts with the body. And they call it body resonant music.
Right.
So this is why they haven't put it on iTunes or anything, because everywhere else converts it to MP3 files.
Right.
And okay, this is easier for storage, but you lose the vibration and the resonance that they feel comes with the body.
Yeah.
And so we've been playing some of it in my show in the background. They have Kaya came over on World Peace Day and actually did some of the sequences with us.
Right.
And she's coming again this year. But the music is it reacts in different parts. It affects different parts of the body.
See, the WAV file is the full file with as big a... I mean, it's digital, so it's not quite the same as analog. It cannot be.
No.
Otherwise, the files will be as big as God himself.
Yeah.
So you cut it down and sort of manage. But MP3 takes out the sounds that most people don't hear.
Yes.
I'm 68 years old, so above 20 kilocycles, I can't hear, really. Because over time, so when I have the money to hear those sounds, I don't have it. When I was young and could hear, I didn't have the cash to buy a decent hi-fi. That's how life is, isn't it? So MP3 takes out those sounds and compresses the file to very small. Now, most people like Dee and me may not be able to make out, but really good musicians can.
Yeah.
But I think you don't need to hear it because it works on every cell in the body.
Yes, that's a very valid point as well.
It's like sacred music.
It is.
And it's about that oneness with nature, really, I guess, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we did a seminar in Norway, and we were connecting with nature, with the music, and our bodies, and it was just very profound. It was beautiful.
Well, it's quite interesting when you listen to your sound, even just the sounds of your own body, and if you get into that.
So this is Kaya's music.
This is.
It's almost like a didgeridoo. That kind of sound.
It changes.
Not bad.
Yeah.
No, actually, the drone. You see, people are in such a rush; they don't get it. The didgeridoo, it goes wow, and all that sound is very deep sound, like whales talking to each other. It goes over miles and miles at very, very low frequency. But the Indian tanpura, which goes basically they enhance the frequency and let you have a whole spectrum. Like all of us can sing the same note. People can make out my voice from your voice from your voice. And our voices change whether we have a cold or not. Whether you are singing from the chest or singing from the nose, it's the same note, but we can go deeper and deeper. And I think it affects our personality. I was talking to my mother, and she is 87, looking outside the window. She said, "Oh, he's not a good guy." I said, "How do you make out?" She said, "I can get the vibes. His clothes are not right." So I said, "Look, from a distance we make out the clothes, then we make out facial expression, then we make out the voice. Now, if I talk on the radio like this, they think I'm Amitabh Bachchan, that guy. If I talk like this, I'll do. But if I always speak like this, you'll think, what's the matter with this guy? You always speak like a baby." And that is the difference, And because I've done Indian classical music for 10 years, singing every day for 10 years, I have some voice control, and people do it for a lifetime. But I think when you change your voice, your personality changes.
You sing every day.
Not now. I sing all the time.
Yeah,
But I'm singing. But I'm singing in my head anyway.
Yes.
I don't listen to music anymore. I don't need it. I've got my own.
Right.
It just runs in my head. I don't have any library, no collection. I hardly have a CD yet. I don't have any CDs at home.
Wow.
I don't need it. It's just there's music running in my head, you know.
Yeah.
So if you put
I feel I'm the same.
if you put some Western pop music, it'll turn into an Indian classical rag and it'll go on and go on and go on. And I'll tell you the oneness of music one more. I went with Pandit Arun Devnath, my then guru. Now we have Vijay Rajput here. But Pandit Arun Devnath and I went to David Clark, who's the head of music. And he was singing Indian classical. He is singing Indian classical now. English guy. Not playing his violin, hiding behind the violin. My guru said, stop hiding behind that instrument. Use your voice. And he says, I've got a bad voice. He said, we'll make it better. Over 10 years, he now sings beautifully.
Yeah.
Completely. And voice is hard, you know. So anyway, he was singing something. And just then, a chap called, I've forgotten, Anthony something. He said, do you know that rag sounds exactly like such and such? And for the Jewish people, there's a Yiddish song about the opening of flower. And the rag my guru was singing was of the coming of spring. Identical notes. Now, it isn't that the Jewish people copied from India or India copied. Because the same notes affect us similarly. You know, if you give it to a child, they're so innocent, they'll pick it up. We say, oh, that's Western music, bad for you. My daughter shouldn't go to a disco. You know, so you already put a filter. Or you might say, oh, that's Indian music. They're noisy, they're full of curry and they're smelly. What's the music got to do? People have these attitudes, you know. But music is beyond all that. I always
find it interesting, Anand.
Anand.
We'll go through.
I'm calling
Anand.
him Dr. Happiness.
Yeah, it's much easier to
easier.
say Doc, isn't it, than Anand?
No, Dr. Happiness.
Dr. Happiness.
Anand means bliss.
But it's very interesting when people hear whale sounds.
Yes.
And the
Dolphins?
response that people
Yes.
almost always
People get
describe
healed.
it as primal, and you know, and there must be something hidden, I think, within our memories.
And we wiped it out with all the traffic noise, all the of computers, all the people with their heads plugged. They've also shown, I think it was on the Facebook, that if you listen to 2 hours of natural sounds, birds chirping, people walking, children laughing, now that spring is here almost, that reduces your stress levels, your bad hormone level by 800%. So if your adrenaline level is 100, by walking in nature or just listening to natural sounds, preferably in nature, not in your headphones, you drop to only 12-13%.
I always thought it was just the outdoors and being in the countryside, but it must be the sounds. It always relaxes me.
Do you also know that 90% of the brain stimulation is from sound, not from vision?
It definitely is for me, yes.
90% for all of us. That's just a thinking. And the oldest part of the brain is the sound part, the back of the brain. Rhinencephalon it's called. So I'll quote, in America, there was this very beautiful, gorgeous woman lying down, and the anesthetist had put her under. And they were discussing first the surgeon, and then says pay. Then they were discussing her body in very voluptuous terms. When she got up, she sued them. And they said, how did you know? And then they did research to find that in anesthesia, the last sound to go, last sense to go is your sense of sound, not your smell and all that. And the first one to come back is sound.
Right.
So be careful what you say. And I forget about beautiful nude women. If you go to the hospital and someone's ill, you say, I don't know how long he'll last. The poor bug has heard it. So say positive things and be honest. When my father was dying in Ward 49, he liked the prayer of Hanuman. That was his favored god. You know, in Hindus you can choose your god, you know, a la carte.
All right. So you have a menu.
Yeah.
I like that god.
Yeah. So which shape would you like, with a man, woman, 10 hands, 20 hands? We Hindus do that. So he liked Hanuman Chalisa, Jai Hanuman, Gyan Gun Sagar, Jai Kapis Tilok, Jagar Ram Dut, Tatri Baldama. And I put it on headphones under the pillow. If I made it too loud, the nurses get upset, you know, because it's religious indoctrination. You know? And is it on? Is it health and safety and all that rubbish? And he definitely was better for a few days. He brightened up, and then he died, of course. But he was brighter for it. So I think music has, don't they say in Christianity, in the beginning there was the word.
Yeah.
What does the word mean? Vibration, sound. And Hindus have Nad Brahma. Nad meaning sound. Brahma means the God, which is sound. So basically sound is a vibration. You're talking about whales. It's the same thing. You know, we are affected by each other's vibes. I don't like his vibes.
And it's the same with the words we use, and it's the vibration behind the words. Yeah.
So when I say good morning, how are you today? And I say, oh, Jerry, good morning. How are you today?
You never say it.
I've never that in my 38 years of practice. I've never said that to any patient ever. And I can't. I just can't. I mean, they pay me to look after them, and sometimes I say, look, I'm tired. I can't do 20 minutes today. I've done that in plumber court with drug addicts. They said, doctor, you're looking very tired. I said, man, I'm sleepy. They said, I'll just sit quietly. You just sit quietly. And honestly, if it's a 2-hour consultation or 1.5 hours, I've just fallen asleep in my chair, and so has he. But there is a communication beyond words.
Of course there is.
And I think that's the deepest. I mean, I can explain heart rate variability, how our hearts affect each other, but that's just the mechanics. There's a bit more than that.
Well, I must say, I notice it with very close people, and it's, particularly with my daughter. The amount of times my daughter, she lives over in New Zealand, the other side of the world. We often simultaneously think of ringing each other at exactly the same time. How that works, I don't know. Maybe it's the way our rhythms are internally or something. But there is some type of
but it does work.
mechanism at work.
My first brother after me is Harsh, and often I'm ringing him. He's engaged. Say, what the hell are you doing? He says, I'm ringing you. So 2 people are ringing each other at the same time. It happens.
It does.
Science, Newtonian science, is trying to wipe out all this. Like religion also wipes out anything that doesn't fit. It's or politics. People are more comfortable with politics, isn't it? Not religion. They get very het up about religion. But politics, religion, thisism, thatism, that means you're very good to that, but very bad to the others. I truly believe that. I've got such good friends in the Labour Party, but they can't think any good comes out of the others. I've got such good friends in the Conservative Party, and they cannot even imagine the Labour Party can possibly do any good. And I think the real person is one who sees the good in the enemy.
Well, I thought that was quite interesting. I don't know if you saw the debates with the 2 the Conservative and Labour leaders last night. And actually both of the leaders were asked, what do you see good in Miliband was asked, what do you see good in David Cameron?
Oh, wow.
And Cameron was asked, what do you see good in David Cameron?
Brilliant.
Beautiful.
And actually, yes, I mean, we are very black and white, as it were. And actually, there are more
the world is only grey.
And I find with my friends, they always assume that I am the same political persuasion they are.
No,
because when they're talking, I'm thinking, they've got a point.
In that issue.
But
somebody else might have another point.
And it's, and I don't particularly feel drawn to disagree, to argue with them. Sometimes I think I'm being too passive, and I think no, but I'm just interested in hearing their approach. But I've found that they assume that I think the same way as them. But I can just appreciate their way of thinking and their opinion.
The argument for what it is. I must say, I don't align myself with any particular.
No.
I do have sympathies. I do have sympathies with some parties,
but some issues.
But I don't align myself 100% with one party or another party. And you do, and I think it's actually better because you then. You
see good in everyone.
You stand back a little bit and actually listen to the argument rather than going, oh, those right-wing people, or whatever.
And what I find interesting is the way they're all merging, and that the electorate, the way the elections are going, reflect that, because we can't decide, because they're all coming together, whether they like it or not. It's actually, they're becoming more and more blurred.
And actually, even if you take the extremes, let's quote an example. There is no difference between Arthur Scargill and Maggie Thatcher.
No, none at all.
One is the back of the same face, and one is the other.
I'd have serious disagreements.
No. Both are riding on the crest. I mean, okay, you may not like Hitler, but he was a great orator. Do you know what I used to do with medical students? I said, write 5 good things about Hitler. And the pen wouldn't lift. I said, look, did he march better than you? Yes. Did he paint? No. So I showed them on the web. He failed his test to get into Vienna School of Arts. That's why he became a Jew hater and all that. He marched well. He shaved his mustache quite nicely. But they just can't see it. If you can't see good in your enemy and can't see bad in yourself, you're not evolving. You're just a coward sitting with a troop of other cowards.
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as to say that Scargill is the same as Thatcher, though. But I get.
Both are riding the crest, Both are.
I think they have the same energy in them.
Yes,
they had the same energy.
Yes.
But I think I must say, having lived in Yorkshire and having seen the devastation that happened when all the pits closed, There is, you know, I mean, my own personal opinion is that Scargill really did try to look after the mine workers and their jobs. And Margaret Thatcher was intent on creating a very vicious economy.
Okay,
didn't have the sympathy for
has Maggie Thatcher done any good whatsoever?
I'm not denying that I think she shook up the country a bit and made the country think, come on, you've got to stand up on your own
Fleet Street, like Fleet Street type of people.
Well, there were some changes I think that were inevitably going to happen, and I think Thatcher was there first. That's my own opinion. I don't agree with the way that she went about doing things. So I think it was.
So you see, some
communities were destroyed, and they were destroyed in this region, and some of them have actually never ever recovered. And
won't it become a different community?
But the communities that they've become they lost hope. A lot of these communities they saw all the jobs disappearing. People were losing their houses. The young kids were turning to drugs like heroin. And
are there not more kids on drugs today than there were then?
I think
so what's it got to do with Maggie Thatcher?
I must say, I think there probably are, and I think those.
What I'm saying is humans have choices. You don't have to belong to a party.
Yes.
I vote on issues. I have no interest in any party. I find the parties excessively boring, and I find them so opinionated and so unable to see the good in the others. Yesterday I had a friend who's going to come, and he kept saying, oh well, if somebody wants to come 3 times a week to the surgery, that's okay. I said, it's not okay. What do you want, a whole country of wimps and ill people? His own protege who was sitting, who might come in today with him, young lad, and he said, actually I agree with Doc. I said, listen to your own guy who's shadowing you, because if you don't teach people to look after their health, I mean, what kind of a vote getter is this? Holy cow, the national health has to be free forever and ever and ever. Then don't put certain things on the health service, like nose jobs, breast jobs, tummy jobs. If someone wants to eat and kill themselves, good luck to them. If somebody wants to drink and kill themselves, good luck to them. And I've worked in drug addiction centers for 8 and 9 years.
But I think what you're failing to recognise is that people can be drawn into circumstances where they perhaps find it difficult to resist. And if all your friends are taking drugs and it appears not to be doing any
Change
harm,
your friends.
Yeah, but if it appears not to be doing any harm, you might go along with it as well. And it's a bit like that airline crash. I hate this. The Sun newspaper this morning has carried a despicable headline about the mad pilot of that plane, when actually it appears that, it's emerging that actually he was suffering from depression at the time, and it's very easy to sort of knock people for the decisions that they make, but if they're
last night
sometimes that amounts to a form
last
of
night I saw Monica Lewinsky's talk on TED Talk. It made me cry. She says, tell me anyone here who hasn't fallen in love with their boss. And he made me do things I didn't want to do, but I was so much in love I just did it. And then from being a nobody, from being someone's bitch, I suddenly became world famous for the worst thing possible. And I thought, like we blame prostitutes and so on, they become the dustbin of our failures. I mean, for every prostitute, there are 50, 60, 100 bad males who are never spoken about, and probably they shout the most against them.
Exactly.
So, why be judgmental, Monica Lewinsky made a mistake. She was only 22.
Gosh, I hadn't realised she was that young.
Yeah, only because I've heard. So on TED Talk, listen to it. I purposely go and listen to very odd people because I look for good in them. I mean, whatever she's done, he's having a great time. He's making speeches. His wife has been the vice president. But what's happened to that poor soul?
Yeah. And that's a power situation.
It's
nothing more.
I think Monica was raped.
Yes, in a sense.
In that situation.
Yes.
Just like I think the black doctor who's in jail now for killing Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was raping the doctors with his money. Deepak Chopra, the man we admire so much, was in tears. I've never seen that man cry. And he said, look, he was on a certain drug, and I said, you can't do with this, I'll help you. And he walked out. And Deepak Chopra said, pardon me. Deepak Chopra didn't say pardon me. Deepak Chopra said, I'm so sorry, I couldn't help him. And he started tears falling down his cheeks. A man so yogic, so Buddhist in outlook, so intelligent, so mind-body. And yet he felt compassion for Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson killed Michael Jackson. The doctor was just the instrument. Marilyn Monroe wasn't killed. She enticed the Kennedy brothers and all the mafia and all. If you live like that, you're party to it, you know.
I'm not denying what you say, and I think we're all culpable at the end of the day for the decisions that we make. But I think there are times in life when people are weak, and there are times in life when people are strong, and sometimes you make correct decisions, and sometimes you make wrong.
That's what I say about Monica.
I was thinking that your question about Maggie Thatcher and Arthur Scargill sort of still, because I feel that there is no right or wrong. It just is what happens. And both my grandfathers were miners. One of them I didn't know because he died when my dad was about 9 in after a pit accident, and the other one died when I was 5 with pneumonic.
So I have really no recollection of either. But you know, they were
I
minor.
really remember the grandfather I knew till he was 5.
Okay.
I have a really strong memory of him. But the thing was that my grandmother was determined her sons would get out the pits because 2 of them had accidents. One was, anyway. And I think that in a way, Thatcher and Scargill, although they may not have realised it, were working together.
On the opposite sides.
Yeah, for change, because we needed to get men out the pits because it was a terrible
They
job.
had to go on the elbows and knees in very narrow seams.
Yes, terrible.
Well, I come from South Bihar, which has the most coal in India. So I've seen that practice too.
Yeah.
And when coal was nationalized, overnight, all that stopped, People were owing their lives to money lenders. And my mother was so fortunate as a social worker. She went to places where there were, washrooms for the women and just creche. Those creche was never made, but on paper they look out so good. There was photographs and all. Yeah. So when the country became nationalized and all these private, like Dickensian times.
Yes.
So they worked in a very horrible situation.
Yeah. And so I think that it was only when you posed that question I thought, hang on, because I've always been brought up staunch Labour, mining family, and my father was actually a fireman. But then when my father was very staunch union man, but what broke him was the strike.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, he said, striking just is not the way. And he realised this, it just destroyed his spirit.
Well, they were out on strike for a year, weren't they?
Yeah, and he was in both unions because he was an officer, but he kept his membership of the fire brigades union.
All right, okay.
And he was so conflicted.
Yeah, I think
two loyalties, opposing loyalties.
Yeah, and I realised that actually, in a way, when I've seen other trade unions, if I want to knock anybody, they're actually getting a salary. Whereas for being in,
union officers. And often, say you are my union officer, but you'd rather be in cahoots with your manager.
Yes.
My manager, who can promote you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you better not rock the boat too much. I've seen actually in real life.
Yeah, of course. But I think we know it goes on. And I do get what you're saying. Although I think the intention originally and clearly there was a secret plan. It had been long planned by the Conservative government. That they were going to take on the miners. They knew when it was going to be triggered. There was I think it was called the Ridley Report, if I remember rightly, a document that came out that proved what the Thatcher government was actually going to do. And Scargill had kept going on about it, saying, you've got a secret plan to close the pits. The government denied it. And sure enough, there was a secret plan to close all the pits.
Yeah.
Talking of pits, I believe that our next guest
that's 1 o'clock
into the office. I believe we've got a UKIP.
Right.
From 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock.
He's not coming in. He's not coming in yet. But he, I believe, was the son of a.
Your nose
as well.
Your nose grows longer because there's a video camera on. So we were talking about music, and in music, I think music just cuts across all the nonsense because.
Exactly.
अगर मैं हिंदी में बातें करूंगा तो आप कुछ नहीं समझेंगे. कुछ समझा आपने? You haven't a bloody clue what I'm saying. But if I sing मेरा जूता है जापानी ये पतलून, is it happy or sad? It's a happy song.
Yeah.
Sadha pa ma ga re sa re ga ga. That's hardly anything but a funereal tune. So music instantly touches people, and I'm not such a great exponent anyway, and you're not used to singing. So, but I'm saying it's so natural, and not singing is unnatural. People who don't sing are unnatural people. and it's being wiped out of them.
But that's what I think's fascinating about at Hawthorne Primary School. There's 23 different languages spoken in that small primary school.
Right,
and
so
it's actually music
that combines
has been
them.
the common language.
But music
connects them all to make them have higher academic achievement.
India and Pakistan are killing each other. Never mind these 23.
Yeah.
but when it comes to music, it's the same music. When it comes to food, it's the same food. And the other things so common between the two countries are identical. They just wear slightly different clothes for certain reasons, but they are the same people. So, but it goes beyond India, Pakistan. You can take a man from Turkmenistan or from China or Japan. Music is music, and it transcends. And there's only 7 notes in all music: do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, C, D, F, G, A, B. There's no H, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Is there? Why?
It depends how you.
But why? Why?
They say it's a universal language.
Exactly, but it's the universal notes as well. Because say in English there's 26 letters, in Hindi there are 32, in Urdu there's I think less, but with dots and all is much more. In Arabic, in Chinese, every letter is a word, and yet I can praise we are Siamese if you please. So
don't play that one.
So do you want to run some of your tracks?
Yes. Well, should we hear a track? I think
yes.
from Baker Matt, and it's called
TK Maxx.
Baker Matt, not TK Maxx, and it's called Brighter Days.
Social projects the country has ever seen to try and change the course of young lives using classical music.
You ready?
It will improve their educational attainment. It will improve their resilience. It will improve their health.
Silence, please.
Wishy-washy? Arty-farty? Or can this turn around the fortunes of a whole community?
Can you imagine going to the Albert Hall and your grandson's there and he's playing the great big orchestra? How fantastic would that be? And where's he from? The West End of Newcastle. Big dreams.
That's excellent. But if I tell you I'm not impressed, how would you react? I have done.
I would be very saddened.
No, you don't need to be saddened.
Because I think.
No. If someone says, and they're from the West End, what's wrong with the West End?
There's a lot of deprivation here.
But music comes from the soul. It's not from physical deprivation.
Yes, I totally get what you're saying. But actually, usually from deprived areas, young people can't afford instruments. And this is really groundbreaking.
They can afford voices.
They can afford voices.
And just listen to me for a moment. I've run 550 workshops in the region. Dr. Anand, along with Anthea when she was there, have run 550 workshops in almost every single school through Gurukul, the Indian classical music organizations. Because children don't know the difference between English music and Indian music and Pakistani music. To them, music. A very warm welcome to all our listeners, and if nobody is listening, at least Jerry Hunwick is here. He must be listening. Hi,
I'm listening to you.
So, what music is that? Tell us about the music.
That is Fanfare Chicalia, and it's a track called Caravan.
It's very grand, you know. I know it's not pure classical, but
no, it's what they call Balkan gypsy music.
But it has that grandeur in it. Doom, doom.
It does.
Doom, doom.
It does.
It's lovely. It's got all those
and and it's very brassy.
Brass, yeah.
Yes,
it's all brass.
which is very bright.
Yes,
it's
very bright.
as shiny as brass
and
itself.
makes you want to dance and enjoy the
No, but
sunshine.
dance not in a wild way, but in a kind of majestic, enjoying,
exactly,
like family way.
Yes.
What does the Spanish gypsy dance sound like?
That's flamenco. That's another great love of mine. I absolutely
you love it.
love my flamenco.
Is there music you don't like? Because you seem to come up with a very, very Catholic taste. You're not a Catholic, are you?
I'm not a Catholic. No,
I'm joking. This is Catholic with a small C.
Do you know?
Is there any music you don't like?
Is there any music I don't like?
Because you're quite Catholic. I mean,
I can. Do you know what I don't like? And it gets a bit on my nerves. Is what's called gangster hip hop.
I don't even know what that is. I barely know what hip hop is.
I don't mind hip hop.
What about hard rock and about killing people and talking about the gods? Anthrax.
I don't like death metal. No, I'm not a fan.
This kind of music, but it's not a calming kind of music. If you're on the motorway and listen to heavy metal, I guess your chance of an accident is slightly higher than if you listen to ta ra 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 pom pom.
Maybe.
So as I say, humans are more discriminating.
Yeah, I must say, when I was younger, I did like more aggressive music, but as I've
just reflected your nature.
Yeah,
it's like a man with a Rottweiler. The Rottweiler is just an expression of the man's inner nature. Why do people keep Rottweilers, snakes, and all these unusual things?
Don't ask me.
Also, one thing I'll tell you from social services point of view, if you have children and they're at risk of being taken away, one point that scores quite heavily is if you have two pets who are enemies of each other. Like if you have in the same house you have a cat and a mouse, the social services know there's something wrong in your family. So get rid of your mouse. Not the computer mouse. Okay, so what else have you brought today?
Right, well, we've got quite a lot coming up today. We've got some music in a minute. There's a fascinating experiment being done at one of our local schools.
What, with mice and Mozart?
Not what it's to do with.
Okay.
It's to do with classical music.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep on theme with you here.
Keep talking about it. I'll go and get my laptop because I see your laptop. I think I've got my laptop here. I'll go and bring my own one.
Right.
Because that's on my laptop.
Do you want some music in in the meantime?
No, keep talking. Talk about what it is.
Yeah, there's a school in Elsick. And they've been doing this experiment whereby all the new students, when they're in year one, they go in and they're given musical instruments. And this is Hawthorne Primary School in Elsick. It's just off Elsick Road there. And they've created something called the Geordie Symphony School, and it focuses on the young students and tries to see how music can transform their lives.
And you asked me to download this piece from the BBC, and I have.
Okay.
So would you like me to run it?
The reason why we're mentioning it today is on, and we don't usually plug other radio stations or TV stations, but we're actually we're gonna plug BBC One Northeast tonight.
But plugging is praising it.
It does. Well, we'll give it a plug because it's local people. There's a half-an-hour documentary this evening on BBC One Northeast.
Northeast and half an hour. It's worth our trouble.
And it's at 7:30 this evening, and it's about the Geordie Symphony School, and the programme just focuses on students.
Next show we'll run quite more bits of it, but we have a preview here.
Yep, there's a preview here coming up for the show, for that
When
show.
I grow up, I'll
be in a band and earn lots of money.
performing to thousands of people, which I really dreamed of.
The West End of Newcastle is becoming a production line of classical musicians.
If you know something about the area and the school and where these children have come from, then it is extraordinary. It's giving children the tools to actually have something for the whole of the rest of their lives.
It's one of the most ambitious...
Like Anthrax.
Not overly, no.
But do you know, and I quote, in 1997, an American boy aged 17, David Merrell, Merrell, did this experiment in Newsonman School in America. He had finished school, he got a grant from the government for $1,000 in his father's massive garage, as Americans have. He had 3 fish tank aquaria with 24 mice in each one of them. 24.
Yeah.
After a week, and every day they would be taken out, fed, and put in a maze made of nail, about 6 foot long, 2 feet wide. Within a week, they all settled down and they were doing the maze in 10 minutes. That was average time for tank A, B, C.
Yeah.
Tank A was left in silence. They were just fed, cleaned, fed and mazed, and that's it. The tank that had Mozart music through headphones in their tank, in the dry tank, they cut down the maze in 3 weeks from 10 minutes to 5 minutes. So if you are a mouse, within 3 weeks you become twice as intelligent in solving an old problem. The mice who heard heavy metal anthrax, the third C, they did not decrease from 10 to 5 or 10 to 1.5. 10 to 5 was the silent one, 10 to 1.5 was the other one, the one with the Mozart. They increased their time from 10 minutes to 30 minutes. So you become 3 times as stupid, and they started killing each other, and the experiment had to be stopped. Now, I'm sure humans have a greater propensity to tolerate nonsense and disturbance, but it does say something, because all our drugs are tested on mice. Every drug you take is tested largely on mice. So, and if you test music. So I'm not saying that